Hello students, how are you? I am starting here the chapter 15, that is our environment. So students, what do you mean by the environment? Environment, that we can say the physical surrounding which an object is surrounded by them. Like the physical surroundings, that means like the air, the water, the soil, the temperature, humid, whatever. These that they make the particular environment and that a particular object that is surrounded by them, and this is called the environment. So let us here we will study about the environment. The first thing in our environment we will study in this chapter the ecosystem, the types of ecosystem, natural, artificial ecosystem, the components of the ecosystem like the biotic and the abiotic system. Okay, the food chain, the flow of energy at different trophic levels, the food web, environmental problems and biological magnification. In the biotic components, we will get to know about the producers, the consumers like the herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, parasites, and the decomposers are there, and the ozone layer, formation of the ozone molecule and the depletion of ozone. The waste in environment, what is waste? The types of waste, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. And the last one is the methods of garbage, which biogas, sewage treatment, that these are the different methods which are used to manage the waste. So first I am starting here the ecosystem. So students, what do you mean by the ecosystem? Okay. An ecosystem is a structural and functional unit of comprising living organisms and their non-living environment which interacts with each other. Actually, the interaction of the living organisms and the non-living organisms, they interact, they coordinate with each other, and that is framed the ecosystem. So different examples of the ecosystem, just we can say the grassland, okay, mountain, desert, forest, all these are the different type of ecosystem, and in that particular ecosystem the flora and fauna which are comprising. Flora means the part of the plants, different type of species which are occur in that particular place, okay, and the fauna means the different organisms and animals which are occur in that particular place. So all these are the flora and fauna, and they make the particular ecosystem of the particular place. So students, here are two types of ecosystem that we can say, the natural ecosystem and the artificial. So the natural ecosystem, like the forest, oceans, that nature has made themselves, so that is a natural ecosystem. Apart from that, if I am saying to you that we are creating a garden in our house, so just we have made ourselves, so that is the man-made or the artificial ecosystem. Okay, so students, in a given area, all the living things such as the animals, organisms are interacting with each other. They will also with the non-living things of the environment or the physical factors like the earth, sun, soil, climate, atmosphere. Okay, so all these are interacting with each other and they form the ecosystem, and ecosystem needs only the input of sunlight for its functioning. Because how it will be possible, let us see here. First, these are the components of the ecosystem. Just you are looking the flow chart where two types of factors are there, abiotic factors and the biotic factors. Okay students, abiotic, that means the non-living factors, fine, and the biotic factors, that means the living factors or the living things. So let us see here which components or the factors will come in the abiotic factors. The first is the climatic factors, and in the climatic factors that comprises like the rain, the temperature, the humidity, and then we can say the weather is a cold or the hot, whatever, so on. So the temperature that regulates the particular ecosystem. Okay, so they are the climatic factors. Apart from that, the edaphic factors and the abiotic factors. adaptive factors, that means like that they are related to the soil. Okay, so or we can say like that they are related to the earth. So in such conditions, for example, the soil, the minerals, they all will come in the adaptive factors. Okay, so the adaptive factors, that means they are related to the earth. Fine. Now in the biotic factors, there are the three categories of the living organisms, like the producers are there, the consumers are there, and the decomposers are there. In the producers, as we know very well, they produce, or the autotrophic plants, they will come in this category because they can make their own food by the inorganic materials, and they can make the organic materials. Okay, so with the help of, or the by taking of the inorganic materials, they fill in the, or they prepare the food for themselves. So they are called the autotrophic or the producers. The next category, that is the consumers, or in such category like the primary consumers, secondary consumers, and the tertiary consumers. Okay students, so in such conditions the consumers are there, where we can say they are dependent directly or indirectly to the producers, because they can't make their own foods. So in such categories we can say they are the heterotrophs. Okay, and the decomposers, who decomposes, or they break down the organic substances into the inorganic substances or the simple substances. Afterwards, these inorganic substances will mix with the soil or the adaptive factors, and the new, and this cycle will go on again, and finally the inorganic substances that also utilize again and again. Okay, so this is a cycle which are conducting from the producers to the decomposers, and now they are the basic components of the ecosystem. So students, as we know, producers are there, they make their own food, they use energy from the sunlight to turn raw material into food by the process of the photosynthesis, and the source of the all food within the ecosystem, for example the green plants, the blue green algae. An ecosystem consists of three nutritional groups, like the producer, consumers, and decomposers, as we saw in the biotic components, where the producers, they are the autotrophic plants, the consumers like the heterotrophic organisms, mainly animals, and the decomposers, that we can say they are the saprophytic bacteria and fungi, and they break down dead matter into return to the nutrients to the soil, and afterwards the cycle will be going so on. Friends, you are looking at here four types of consumers. The herbivores, they eat only the producers, or the like the plants like cows, sheep, etc. The carnivores, they eat only the type of consumer, and they like the hogs, snake, polar bears, etc. as we know very well. And omnivores, they eat the both plants and the producers and the consumers. In other words, we can say like the human beings, the monkeys, the squirrels, turtles, and so on. And the decomposers, they gain energy by the breaking down of dead organisms like mushrooms, fungi, mold, bacteria, etc. And just we can say in other words that the decomposers who clean the environment. Okay, because they decomposes all the organic material into the inorganic material. So students, the consumer, which also characterized or classified into the primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and the quaternary consumers. Okay, so always the primary consumers who eat the grasses or the plants, they are the herbivores. The secondary consumers, they are the small carnivores. The tertiary consumers, or they are the large carnivores, and the quaternary consumers, they will be the largest or the top carnivores. So these are the basic categories of the consumers. Students, you are looking at here the food chain. So what is food chain? A food chain is a series of organisms in which one organism consumes another organism to transfer food energy. In other words, we can say that who eats to whom. that this series depicting them for the transferring of the food energy. Okay, so in such characteristics of the food chains are these, like there is a repeating eating in which each group eats smaller one, okay, and that is eaten by the larger one, and this involves a nutritive interaction between the biotic components of an ecosystem. Fine, and now the plants and animals which depend successively from one another from the lives of a food chain. Students, there is a unidirectional flow of the energy from sun to the producer and then to a series, that is a consumers of the various types. So the food chain is always a straight and proceeds in the progressive straight line. Students, you are looking the example and the food chain of the different organisms and in the different ecosystem. Now just these are the grassland or the terrestrial ecosystem, and that is the aquatic ecosystem. I am depicting here, just you can look at here, that this is the producer or the plant. Here these are the phytoplanktons in the aquatic. So in both terms, like suppose phytoplanktons, that means the small plants which are floating in the water, okay, so these are called the phytoplanktons. Okay, now these producers will be eaten by the zooplankton in the water. Zooplankton, that means the small organisms which are free floating in the water, and they are called the zooplanktons. Okay, so the producers will always eaten by the herbivores in the both types of ecosystem. Fine, here is the insects and here is the zooplanktons. So they are called the primary consumers. Now afterwards, these primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers or the carnivore. Primary carnivore we can say here, and afterwards these secondary consumers or the primary carnivores, they are consumed by the large carnivores and or we can say the tertiary consumers. Okay, like the snake or the python is here, and which eats the carnivore. Here you have the small fishes which are eaten by the large fish. Fine, and afterwards this carnivore will be eaten by the top carnivore, and that is also called the ordinary consumer. So students, you are looking at here in the both examples of the terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystem, and the flow of energy which is the unidirectional, because it can't be reversed. Whatever we know very well, the producers will be eaten by the small herbivores or the herbivores, and they are the primary consumers. Fine, so in this chain the flow of energy will be conducted, so that is the unidirectional. Friends, you are looking at here the food web, and the various form of food chains become interconnected to one another and for a kind of complicated network of food chains, and that is known as the food web. So students, you are looking at the example of the food web, that they are the producers, okay, and these are eaten by the different primary consumers or the herbivores, like just the butterfly that it is eaten, and the eats this type of flower, this type of flower. Fine, and afterwards this butterfly can be eaten by the primary carnivores or the secondary consumers, that is it can be a frog also, it can be a dragonfly also, okay, and afterwards this dragonfly can be eaten by the thrush or can be eaten by the frog. Now this frog can be eaten by the eagle, or the thrush can be eaten by the wolf, this wolf can be eaten by the python, and this python can be eaten by the eagle. So students, that is a great or the large network or the web just you are looking at here. So in the ecosystem, the food web, that is very essential for the particular organisms or the consumers or the like the producers also, because the dependency of the particular organism that is not needed in the particular ecosystem. If the food web is conducting, so there are so many options for the organisms. They can the food can be provided or either one option or the another. So no any starvation will be occur if the food web will be processed so on. So all organisms are interconnected with each other. Okay, and so that's why they are dependent on each other, and it's a great web that is there in the ecosystem. So without food chains are available there, but so many food chains when they make the food web, so the food web is a typical part and that very essential for the ecosystem. Now the next is the trophic level. So the trophic level that depicts here each step in the food chain which characterized by the particular mode of obtaining food, that is called the trophic level. So according to their feeding habits, the different organisms they are kept in the particular level. Okay, so just the producers which always come in the first trophic level, and that is called the T1 trophic level. Okay, afterwards just we can say the second trophic level where the herbivores will always come. Now in the T3 trophic level, just we can say the primary carnivores, they will always come. In the T4 trophic level, the secondary carnivores, they will also come, or the tertiary consumers, just we can say. And afterwards the T5 trophic level where the quaternary consumers will come. So students, according to their feeding habit, the different organisms are kept to the different trophic levels. Okay students, representation of trophic levels and the ecological pyramids. Each trophic level of the ecosystem can be represented by graphical designing, and that is called the ecological pyramids. Just you are looking at here, these are the different pyramids, and these begins with the products, the bottom, and proceeded with the various trophic levels like the herbivores, the carnivores, and etc. So the ecological pyramids, they can be in the different types like the pyramids of the biomass, the pyramids of the numbers, and the pyramids of the energy. So students, the terrestrial pyramid of the biomass, according to their biomass, it can be upright like the terrestrial pyramid, and it can be inverted like the aquatic pyramid. Obviously, just you can look at here, the producers is the highly biomass, and afterwards the biomass will be reduced, so that's why it will be upright. And in the aquatic medium, just we can say the biomass will be reduced, and afterward the second level the biomass will be increased, so that's why it will be inverted in the aquatic medium. Now the pyramid of biomass, that shows the relationship between the biomass and amount of organic matter in the organism, and the trophic level by calculating the biomass present at each trophic level. Afterwards, the second is, that is the pyramids of numbers. So according to the pyramids, according to the numbers of the organisms, the pyramid are showing here, like in the just we can say that the grassland, the pyramid of the number, that will be upright. Okay, because the producers, they are in the larger number, and afterwards the number will be decreases, so it will be in the upright manner. Okay, but the parasitic pyramid, and that will be inverted. Friends, you are looking at here, this is the parasitic pyramid, and that is the inverted. So how it will be? Because suppose the producer, that is the tree, and it will only on one number. Okay, a single tree is there, but the herbivores like the birds, and they are the greater in number apart from the, and compare it with the tree, fine, and the parasites which lives in the birds, they are in the higher number than the birds, and finally the hyperparasites which live in the parasites. Okay, so in this mode, the parasitic pyramid, that will be inverted. So students, you have learned about the pyramids of the number and the biomass. Students, you are looking at here the flow of energy in an ecosystem. As we know very well plants capture the sunlight energy, and by the process of photosynthesis they make the food. Okay, so they are the autotrophs. But when the herbivores, when they eat the producers or the plants, okay, so this energy, that we can say the light energy will change into the chemical energy, and finally it will come into the next trophic level. Okay, so students, just you are looking at here that we can say a part of this trapped energy used by the plants in performing their different metabolic activities, or we can say some energy that is released as heat in the atmosphere. So when the producers, they capture the sunlight, okay, and they make the foods, and by making the food they give out the different energy system. Okay, so the energy produced in the plants and they utilize in their different metabolic activities. Afterwards, a few amount of energy will be flow to the next trophic level, like the herbivores or the primary consumers, and a large amount of energy will be released in the atmosphere in the heat form. Okay, so when these herbivores, they will get this energy in the form of the chemical energy, and afterwards this chemical energy will be changed into the food energy, and now different metabolic activities will be conducting into the herbivores. Finally, this energy will be transferred into the carnivores, and they will get energy, and afterwards when these carnivores will consume this energy for the different metabolic activities, and a few amount of energy will be released into the atmosphere in the form of the heat, and the top carnivores, when they will eat the carnivores, and afterwards this energy will be flow into the top carnivores, where the energy will be utilized in the different metabolic activities in the particular top carnivores, and a large amount of energy will be released into the atmosphere in the form of the heat. Okay, so this is the community heat, where all the different type of trophic levels, they are releasing their heat, and it is gathered into the atmosphere. Now students, apart from that, in the whole and different trophic levels, the decomposers, that they decay or they break down the different substances into the simple inorganic substances or the simple substances. So that is the flow of energy, and according to that this it's a unidirectional, where the plants consume, and afterwards this energy will be flow from one trophic level to the another trophic level. So it will be also depicting here like the 10% law of the energy. So what is the 10% law of energy? Let us look at here. 10% law of energy. Okay, so you can see here the 10% law followed an energy transfer, and which was given by Raymond, and this law states that only 10% of energy is transferred from one trophic level to the another trophic level, and the remaining 90% will be used by the present trophic level. Okay, so in the different processes, and that means the energy available at each successive trophic level, that is the 10%, as the average value of the previous level. So therefore there are usually 3 or trophic levels in the food chain. Students, you are looking at here the pyramid, and which is depicting here the 10% flow of energy. Students, I am giving the example of the 10% flow of energy, the transfer of energy. So just you are looking at here the pyramid, and here the different trophic levels that are depicting here, like this is the T1 trophic, this is the T2, T3, and this is the T4 trophic level. And once you look at it, you are looking at here the sunlight, and suppose that is a 10 lakh joule of the sunlight, and only 1% of this sunlight will be captured by the plant. So we can say 1% of the 10 lakh joules, that means 10,000 joule will be captured by the primary producers or the T1 trophic level. Okay, so the plants will be captured only 1% of sunlight, and they will make the food by the photosynthesis process, and afterwards they use this energy with the different metabolic activities according to their requirement in the plants. And when the herbivores or the primary carnivores, they consume the producers. Okay, so only the 10% of the energy of the primary producers, energy will be entered into the T2 trophic level or the primary consumer. So this we can say 10,000 joule of energy, that means only 10% of 10,000, that means 1,000 joule will be entered into the primary consumers or the T2 trophic level. Okay, now same it is there in the T3 trophic level or the secondary consumers. The energy of the 1,000 joule, that means 10%, only 100 joule will be entered into the T3 trophic level, and the 10% of the 100 joule, that only the 10 joule will be entered into the T4 trophic level or the tertiary consumers. So students, just you are looking at here, this is the 10% law of energy, only 10% of the that particular trophic level. Now it will be entered into the next trophic level. So the question can be asked to you different examples that given to you, and you have to solve how much part of that particular 10% of the joule will be entered into the next trophic level. So students, what are waste? Waste are unwanted or unusable materials which are discarded after primary use, or it is worthless, defecting, or just we can say there is no any use of them. Okay, so these are the waste, and waste are the characterized or classified into two types, like the biodegradable waste and the non-biodegradable waste. Students, biodegradable waste, that means the decomposes naturally, they decompose or they break down them into the simple substances or the inorganic substances. Okay, so the waste decomposes naturally in the environment, that is the biodegradable waste, and they are very safe for our environment, and these waste are made up of the natural ingredients, so that's why the decompose them. For examples are here, like just we can say the vegetable peels are there, and like so many things which are made from the nature, and just you can see at your surroundings like the gardens, the leaves are there and they can destroy or they can decompose themselves. Okay, apart from that, if I am talking about the non-biodegradable substances, that means they are waste, they do not decompose by the naturally, or in other words, just we can say the decomposers that they can't decompose or they can't break down into the simpler or the inorganic substances, because they are not made by the nature. Okay, naturally they are not made up of, they are created by the man, so they are the artificially made. Like for example, they are the synthesized, so just we can say like the glass. Okay, and so many, like the plastics are there, so many products are there which are created by the man, so they are the non-biodegradable waste. Students, managing the garbage, as you know very well, this is a great part of our earth, that we should manage the garbage. Why? Because it creates a great pollution on our earth. So different solutions just have given, and WHO also it has been restricted to different types of and different countries to bother them and to control the waste products. And UNEP, it's an organization that bound to the countries to control the CFC, the just we can say the different gases which are trapping on the earth, and they are creating the temperature, which are creating the heat on the earth. So these are the control way. Now what are the controls and what are the management of the garbage? As we can see here, the landfillings, the recycling, the production of biogas and the manure, the preparation of compost, incineration, and the sewage treatments. Students, the waste and the garbage, when the household is disposed of, and it can pollute the soil, water and air. So there are different methods of management of the approaches by what waste that are. So the land filling, just we can merge them, or we can dig up it, and afterwards we can fill the lands by these waste products. Okay, and so many in such today just we are seeing so many like societies are there that they are filled by the waste products, and afterwards so many buildings which are creating on the lands. Now the production of the biogas and manure by the waste products, fine, and the preparation of compost. Just suppose that vegetable peas are there, and afterwards we can merge in the pit, and afterwards it will be biodegradable, or the biodegrades, and finally it will frame and it will convert into the compost and the manure also. Incineration, that means just in a higher temperature, suppose the 1000-degree temperature is there, and afterwards it will be like without any smoke, the waste products are converting into the ash. Okay, so that is the incineration process. And recycling, that so many products are there that we can recycle them. And finally the sewage treatment, which we can use the waste products or the waste water, we can pure them, and afterwards we can utilize in our different utilities. Okay, so these are the management of the garbage. Ozone layer and its depletion. Ozone layer, students, you know very well what is ozone. In our atmosphere, the upper layer of the stratosphere where the ozone layer is situated. Okay, so the ozone layer or the ozone sheet is a region of Earth's stratosphere that absorbs most of the sun's ultraviolet rays, and it contains high concentration of ozone in relation to the other parts of the atmosphere. Okay, and although still small in relation to the other gases in the stratosphere. So students, that is the shield for the coming of the ultraviolet rays, and they prevent them. But what about that? Firstly, just I am discussing here the formation of the ozone. So ozone molecule, how it will be formed. Let us look at here the oxygen molecule in the presence of the sunlight or the UV rays of the sun. Now it will be break down into the two atoms of the oxygen, fine, and afterwards this oxygen molecule, now that oxygen atom will be added to the oxygen molecule, and finally a 3 molecule of the oxygen that create the ozone molecule. So we can say here ozone molecule that is made up of the 3 atoms of the oxygen, and that is the ozone molecule. So students, that is the formation of the ozone molecule. And now what is the ozone depletion? Actually, in such condition, in today just we are looking that in the upper layer of the ozone, different holes just are creating there due to the different types of gases, such that just we can say like the CFCs, halogens and other compounds, and they are depleting and they are creating the holes. So that's why these ultraviolet rays of the sun, they are coming to the earth's surface, and the increasing level of the temperature on the earth, and that is very aware for it. And friends, ozone depletion. So what do you mean by the ozone depletion? In a simple word, I can say the holes which have occurred in the ozone layer by different pollutants, that is called the depletion of ozone. So ozone depletion is primarily caused by human activities, and that may affect at ozone depletion, and is an increase in the UV rays, okay, and reaching the surface of the earth, that causes the chlorofluorocarbon, halogens and the other compounds deplete the ozone layer. So the organization that we can say UNEP, that this is controlled the depletion of the ozone layer, and it's called to the different countries and aware to the different countries to stop the processing of the different pollutants. So students, what are the effects of the depletion of the ozone? Like the different type of serious allergies which are coming on the earth, and we can cause different type of diseases are here, asthmatic problems are there, and just we can say the asthmatic problems, the skin diseases also have, the bones problem that is also occurred. So that's why only 1% reduction of ozone increases UV radiations by 2%. So its biggest threat is cancer in main, especially of the skin. So it causes the skin cancer, students. Now further depletion of ozone layer would lead to more cancer causes like the cataract, destruction of aquatic life and the vegetation, and finally the loss of the immunity. So students, we have to aware for that the sources of the chemicals that are said to be depleted, and they are the fertilizers releasing high flying aircrafts, release of the chlorinated and the nuclear vapors. So students, we should aware for that, and UNEP also required and it is also instructed to the different countries to stop to create these type of such which are creating the depletion of the ozone. So now students, your topic has complete of chapter 15, that are environment. Thank you so much.